During the epidemic outbreak, Yentai Pulmonary Hospital faced 6 months of exposed unpaid wages. Xi Jinping gets hands-on, placing his bet on Shanghai. The White Paper Movement documentary unveils CCP atrocities and the relentless struggles of the Chinese people. Chinese worldwide voice support for White Paper Movement anniversary events. Pakistani Taliban warns CCP, pay taxes or face destruction of Belt and Road infrastructure. It's all covered in today's China Truths. During the epidemic outbreak, Yentai Pulmonary Hospital faced 6 months of exposed unpaid wages. The resurgence of the Chinese epidemic is causing renewed concern, particularly as patients flood hospitals nationwide, creating an urgent demand for medical staff. Disturbingly, it has been revealed that Yentai Pulmonary Hospital in Jifu District, Shandong Province, has not paid its employees for 6 months, sparking public outcry. On November 18, a hospital staff member disclosed, Yentai Pulmonary Hospital has withheld salaries for 6 months, and awards for spiritual civilization and performance evaluation from previous years remain unpaid. Where did the funds go, and when will promised funding, supplements, and salaries be provided? The individuals added, "Not a cent has been paid, and we face imminent starvation without basic livelihood support." Is the hospital still a public institution in Jifu District? You remember us during various updates in the mask-wearing period, but have you remembered the owed funding and salaries? Must it become a national public opinion issue before action is taken? Stop deceiving employees with empty promises, provide an explanation. This incident has drawn public attention, with one netizen questioning, with so many respiratory diseases, how can there be wage arrears? Another pointed out, during epidemic prevention, we never heard the Health Commission and Finance Department claim a lack of funds. Now, they can't even pay medical staff salaries? Some expressed disbelief that despite being a top 5 economically well-off city in Shandong, Yantai can't afford to pay salaries. Until November 23, the Health Bureau of Jifu District confirmed the accuracy of the situation, stating that the hospital is collaborating with the Finance Bureau and relevant authorities to secure funds for prompt salary payments. Xi Jinping gets hands-on, placing his bet on Shanghai. The collapse of the real estate bubble in China has significantly heightened financial risks. The latest market rescue policies of the Chinese Communist Party are dragging down banks, making it challenging for them to safeguard their interests. Foreign direct investment has plummeted, tensions between the US and China are escalating, and the CCP's technological constraints persist. Politically, China is experiencing increased isolation from the Western world, and protests related to real estate issues are surging across the country. These factors are collectively pushing the CCP into a difficult position. In that context, CCP leader Xi Jinping has no option but to actively get his hands on it. Today's analysis focuses on how Xi places his bet on Shanghai. Focusing on development measures for the Yangtze River Economic Belt. On November 27, Xi Jinping chaired a meeting of the Central Political Bureau to examine 2 documents, one focusing on the development of the Yangtze River Economic Belt and the other outlining regulations governing how the CCP manages foreign affairs work. Analysts interpret Xi Jinping's review of the development document for the Yangtze River Economic Belt as an indication that economic challenges have cornered the CCP, shaking the foundation of its regime. Focusing on the Yangtze River region, especially Shanghai, might be an effort to stimulate economic and financial growth in China. Leveraging Shanghai's historical reputation for openness aims to attract international investment, potentially mitigating ongoing crises such as the real estate downturn, financial risks, and manufacturing decline. This strategy is viewed as an attempt to find some breathing space amidst the myriad internal and external challenges. Xi Jinping to visit Shanghai on Tuesday. The South China Morning Post, SCMP, reported on November 27 that, according to multiple reliable sources, Xi Jinping is set to visit Shanghai on Tuesday, November 28, and is tentatively planning to stay in Shanghai for 3 days, but the final schedule may still undergo adjustments. The itinerary includes inspections at the Shanghai Futures Exchange and various technology companies operating in the city. This marks Xi's first visit to China's commercial hub in 2021. The SCMP mentioned that shortly after the conclusion of the China International Import Expo earlier this month, Xi Jinping visited Shanghai, underscoring his strong desire to rejuvenate economic growth. This visit coincides with the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the Shanghai Free Trade Zone, serving as a testbed for China's economic reforms. With a population exceeding 25 million and contributing nearly 4% to China's GDP, Shanghai is home to some of the country's major foreign investors, including Tesla, General Motors, and Disney. The SCMP also reported that, amid growing concerns about decoupling between China and the West, Xi Jinping is expected to encourage city officials to implement further market liberalization, fostering cross-border trade and capital flow in mainland gateway cities. Observers suggest that faced with economic challenges and mounting public discontent resulting from his initially leftist governance approach, combined with the departure of foreign capital and coordinated blockades by Western nations like the United States, Xi Jinping has had to change course. He is now working to ease tensions with the United States, attract foreign investment, and signal a commitment to ongoing openness. Following the convening of a meeting of the Central Political Bureau of the CCP to review development measures for the Yangtze River Economic Belt, Xi Jinping's swift inspection of Shanghai indicates his strategic bet on the city and its surrounding regions to revive China's economic and financial outlook. Xi Jinping gets hands-on. Returning to the array of challenges currently confronting China, including the collapse of the real estate bubble, a significant drop in foreign direct investment, escalating tensions between the US and China, and the CCP's technological constraints persist, Xi Jinping, having engaged in talks with President Biden during his visit to the US, hastily returned to the country and proceeded to Shanghai. His plan involves visiting the stock exchange and technology firms, with the aim of transforming Shanghai into an exemplar of openness and rekindling aspirations for national rejuvenation and a community of shared human destiny. However, according to the experts, this seems to be just wishful thinking by Xi Jinping and the CCP. A November 26 article in The Economist highlights Xi Jinping's increasingly tight control over Chinese businesses. Under Xi Jinping's leadership, the lines between China's state-owned sector and private enterprises have progressively blurred. Global investors now perceive China's private sector as a captive of the CCP, where companies are seen as listening to the party and following the party. According to data from the Peterson Institute for International Economics, among China's top 100 listed companies, the market value of private enterprises fell from about 55% of the total in mid-2021 to 39% by the end of June this year. Dealogic's data indicates that state-owned enterprises might have invested around $390 billion in private enterprises since 2018. Professor Margaret Pearson of the University of Maryland's Park School notes that distinguishing between state-owned and private companies has become challenging, as the state's influence on companies is no longer solely tied to ownership. In their book, The State and Capitalism in China, published in May, Pearson and her co-author argue that China is transitioning from state capitalism, which implies business guided by state interests, to party-state capitalism, which signifies business organized around the interests of the Communist Party. The Economist article emphasizes that state support can help companies align with Xi Jinping's vision. Many innovations in green energy, electric vehicles, robotics, and digitization are driven by private enterprises but funded by the state. The CCP also wields control through subtle means. One such tool is China's corporate social credit system, initiated shortly after Xi Jinping assumed power, which assesses companies based on factors like legal and debt records. Lauren Uhsin Lin of City University of Hong Kong and Curtis Milhaupt of Stanford Law School recently examined publicly available scores in Zhejiang, an affluent coastal province. They found that companies with closer political ties tended to score higher. Apart from company size, the variable most closely linked to high scores was whether the company's directors or CEO had held significant positions in the government or the party. High-scoring companies can be included in a red list or receive preferential credit. Once blacklisted, obtaining loans becomes challenging. This dynamic strongly encourages private enterprises, even without direct state ownership, to align with national policies. The Economist notes another method of CCP control through party committees, where party member employees discuss ideology and their position in corporate life. While lacking formal administrative powers, these committees relay information about the company or industry to regulatory authorities. A banker observed that this information could, in turn, influence local regulations. Similar to golden shares, party committees have fueled distrust among foreign investors and between foreign companies' subsidiaries and their headquarters in China. Huang Tianlei, a researcher at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, suggests that many changes in the private sector result from entrepreneurs attempting to balance business activities while showcasing loyalty to the party and fulfilling political responsibilities. Demonstrating loyalty does not necessarily diminish their profit-seeking behavior, they are merely adapting to a political economy built on the party's supremacy. The White Paper Movement documentary unveils CCP atrocities and the relentless struggles of the Chinese people. Recently, a participant in the White Paper Movement created a documentary titled Urumqi Middle Road, focusing on the movement's events. In the video, director Plato documented the hardships and humiliations endured by the people during the mandatory lockdowns imposed by the Chinese Communist Party over the past 3 years amid the pandemic. Urumqi Middle Road, situated in the Suwei and Jing'an districts of Shanghai, became a focal point after a major fire on November 24, 2022, at the Jixianjuan residential complex. Many Shanghai residents gathered on Urumqi Middle Road to mourn the fire victims, leading to a large-scale anti-lockdown protest. During the protest, brave individuals chanted political slogans such as Xi Jinping step down and Communist Party step down. Plato mentioned that in 2022, he personally witnessed the protests on the evening of November 26 in Shanghai. The film not only includes personal footage from that day but also compiles iconic video materials before and after the protests, aiming to comprehensively depict how the CCP's zero-COVID policy triggered people's anger, prompting them to take to the streets in protest. According to Plato, the CCP authorities later distorted facts, willfully smeared the events, and misled many uninformed individuals, claiming that the protests in Shanghai and the White Paper Movement were orchestrated by foreign forces. On the one-year anniversary of the Shanghai Urumqi Road protests, the production of this documentary aims to expose the CCP's lies and reveal the truth. Plato questioned why, whenever internal conflicts arise in China, there is always a tendency to blame foreign forces. The more the government misleads, forgets, and shields, the more imperative it becomes for people to speak out, remind, and remember the White Paper, remember November 26, remember Urumqi Middle Road, remember the Xinjiang fire, remember the Guizhou bus incident, remember Dynamic Zero COVID, remember the Big White, remember June 4th, remember the Cultural Revolution, remember 3 years of disasters. Plato also expressed, remember the ugliness, only by doing so can we face the light. I also hope that China can usher in its own enlightenment soon. The documentary spans a duration of 1 hour and 17 minutes, with the director's objective being to offer a comprehensive portrayal of the Urumqi Middle Road protest events. Notably, the film has garnered an enthusiastic response from the audience. Netizens commented, "Thank you to the author for recording history. The people will always remember this time, and on the day when the people truly triumph, I will shed tears to review it again. This is very valuable information." Thanks to the author, many people in the country have been forcibly made to forget the hardships and humiliations of the past 3 years by the CCP. One said, "Seeing the young people in the video makes me feel that we still have hope." Chinese worldwide voice support for White Paper Movement anniversary events. In commemorating the 1-year anniversary of the White Paper Movement, people in mainland China are not alone. This is because, on November 25th and 26th, Chinese communities in various locations, including New York and Los Angeles in the United States, Toronto in Canada, and London in the UK, organized rallies and art exhibitions to mark the occasion. Around 3 p.m. on November 26th, members of the Chinese Democratic Party and local Uyghur groups in London raised white papers and banners in front of the Chinese consulate to protest, marking the 1-year anniversary of the blank paper revolution. Hong Kong groups also participated, protesting against the arrests of 47 democracy activists who took part in the 2020 Hong Kong Legislative Council primaries, charged with subverting state power. At 7:30 p.m. on November 26, the Citizen Association, a group of international students in Canada, held a gathering at the University of Toronto to commemorate the one-year anniversary of the blank paper movement. Canadian-Chinese writer Xing Shui expressed that the White Paper Revolution holds significant meaning, particularly in breaking the CCP's silence during the virus control period. The symbolic act of using white paper had a powerful impact, encapsulating the countless crimes of the CCP. She sees the event as a call to the youth of the times, revealing the dark and brutal extent of the CCP's tyrannical rule. Commemorative events on the one-year anniversary of the White Paper Revolution in various locations indicate a collective desire to sustain the accusation against the CCP's tyranny. Xing Shui stresses the irreversibility of the trend of the times and notes that the CCP, in response to the movement, has intensified arrests, imprisonments, and persecution of participants and their families. Overseas support, commemorations, and actions are crucial to showing those resisting within the Great Firewall that they are not alone, representing the direction of humanity's pursuit of basic rights such as freedom, democracy, dignity, and speech, acknowledged by the world in terms of universal values of freedom and democracy. Pakistani Taliban warns CCP, pay taxes or face destruction of Belt and Road infrastructure. The Belt and Road Initiative, orchestrated by Beijing authorities with an aim for expansion, deems the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, in Pakistan a crucial strategic project. And the Chinese Communist authorities still maintain close ties with Pakistan. However, a significant event has recently emerged. The Taliban, a militant group in Pakistan, issued a threat: either pay protection money or face attacks on the infrastructure of the Belt and Road. This information was reported by the UK's Daily Telegraph. The commander of the Gandhipur Taliban faction, in a video address to construction workers, declared, "We will impose a 5% tax on roads and railways anywhere from China to the Arabian Sea." He explicitly stated that if taxes are not paid, machines and workers will become targets of Taliban militants, leading to the destruction of facilities. Over the past 20 years, the Chinese Communist authorities have maintained close ties with Pakistan, continuously providing substantial financial aid, with the financing amounting to a high $67.2 billion. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative flagship project, spanning nearly 2,000 miles, approximately 3,218 kilometers, as an infrastructure project. Its purpose is to connect China's western Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region to the Gwadar port in southwestern Pakistan, and it has deployed thousands of security personnel. However, the Belt and Road Initiative has not translated into benefits for local enterprises and businessmen, resulting in widespread public resentment. Pakistani Chinese enterprises and Chinese workers have been targeted multiple times. In 2021, an explosion on a bus carrying workers to a construction site resulted in 12 deaths, including 9 Chinese workers. Reports indicate that since the Taliban regained power in neighboring Afghanistan, the Pakistani Taliban has resurged, launching more attacks within Pakistan. Islamabad lacks a formal response strategy. The Bata organization, which previously controlled a significant portion of northwestern Pakistan, was ousted by the Pakistani military in 2014. Abdul Syed, a regional security research analyst focusing on Afghanistan and Pakistan, highlighted that extortion serves as the Taliban's primary income source. Recent evidence suggests that Taliban militants are demanding taxes from government officials, contractors, and other businesses. Michael Kugelman, the director of the South Asian Institute at the Wilson Center think tank, believes that the new threat from local Taliban commanders will heighten China's concerns about security threats to its investments in Pakistan. This threat is a crucial factor in the waning momentum of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor in recent years. As security risks escalate, with increasing numbers of separatists and Taliban militants threatening or attacking Chinese interests in Pakistan, it presents a significant challenge. However, Kugelman also opines that the Beijing authorities remain unwilling to abandon the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Despite the challenging dual threat posed by ethnic separatists and Islamic radicals, China appears determined to endure it. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.